everyone, welcome back to another edition of the Apex, the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, we are fully in our series of breaking down every single group before champs. We have just a few more weeks, and then we will be right in the middle of the action. It's been a long break, way too long of a break. Hopefully they fix that in the offseason. I don't know if they will, but let's just hope. We're almost there, though. So close. We've got Group C coming up here, and this is a big one because when we did our first initial preview, we had said that this was the group of death, the group that is probably the toughest to come out from. Lots of really good rosters in here, lots of really good teams. We're going to get into that in just a second. But before we get into that, last week we had a discussion about Hot Dog Mafia, and I said something along the lines of, if they won the whole tournament, I would eat a hot dog live on stream for every kill they got in the finals. And then me and Jumbo kind of whittled it down a little bit so it wasn't so strenuous. But
No. It was, you should still do that, but like it was just that if they win, you have to eat a hot dog for every kill that game. I think something like that. So like we're gonna make you. We need you to eat hot dogs on this stream.
Yeah, I'm gonna be eating hot dogs on the stream.
Okay,
but Jayhawk, special friend of the program, sent a voicemail that he wanted me to air because I think he has some thoughts on this. So let's see what Jay has to say.
Honorary fifth man.
Actually, honorary third.
So boys, I'm listening to this Hot Dog Mafia breakdown, which I mean, just fantastic analytical work we got going on here.
Thank you.
But I'm listening to this and I'm hearing this wager about these shaboing boings. And you know, the initial conversation when Jumbo was saying, like, listen, this guy might die, and he's like, I'm not trying to make this comedic. I'm not trying to be hyperbolic. I looked at the numbers. If you're lucky, all right, and you did every single kill was a shaboing boing, and they miss finals, we're talking dead last is like minimum 30 to 40 shaboings across the tournament.
Doable.
There's teams that have missed finals and put up well over 100 kills.
That's crazy.
All right, I'm talking like 150 kills, and they didn't even make it to the finals. All right, like that's in the realm of possibilities. Essentially, is anywhere from 40 to 200 shaboing boings. And all due respect, Wyatt is like 5'4".
Okay.
I have to chime in here. He literally would die. I don't think you could stack up 200 shaboing boings if we're talking max capacity here and think that all 200 of those are fitting in Wyatt's body. I think that they would actually be bigger than he is.
Okay.
Like that's how crazy this is.
I agree.
Okay. All right.
Okay,
a little exaggeration there.
To be fair, I don't think you ever specified a time frame of how long the stream would be.
We did.
Well, how long it
just had to be 1 day. Yeah.
One. I mean, was it 1 day or one stream? Because if
I kind of just said one
stream.
One stream. Can't go to sleep.
A week-long stream. Can't go to sleep. 25 a day.
No sleeping.
I mean,
it's possible.
Honestly, okay, wait. If Wyatt in turn did a week-long stream, ate 25 hot dogs a day on stream, or as many as he could, then I would like let him have it. Like you could do that. That being said, are you gonna call in work? Hey man, I need PTO.
I made a commitment.
I gotta eat hot dogs on a stream to a handful.
Listen, here's my so we might have to change the parameters. And I think because Jay was saying I don't remember exactly what we said.
We said it was if they won land. So they have to win.
I thought we said if they won, then I would do whatever they got in just the finals. That's what I thought we had said.
Not just finals. I don't remember.
We said the whole thing?
Yeah, I don't remember. You're right.
Okay. I think if they do win, and then if they do win the tournament, I'll just do the kills they did in just the final lobby, which is still going to be a lot. I mean,
oh shit, the most kills for Japan last year.
If it goes like, 9 to 14 games, and you're assuming if they're in first, they're getting at least 50 KP, that's going to be tough. But like, I keep bringing this back up. The Nathan's hot dog eating champion, Joey Chestnut, puts down 70 in
that's
a 1 hour sitting.
That's
I know that, but I'm not trying to do it in 1 hour.
No, I know, but like I agree with Jay that the difference is like Joey Chestnut's a guy who's trained. He's a big guy, and like I fear that. So Go Next, who won last year, had 126 kills throughout the entire tournament. I fear that 126 shaboing boings might be bigger than you.
Yeah.
If you stack them up, there's a good chance. Well, it depends. Are we doing like when we're stacking, are we stacking it like one on top of each other, or are we doing like rows of like 5?
Yeah.
If you're doing stacks of 5, I think it's going to take a lot of shaboing boings until they tower over.
I agree, but like Wyatt's a thin guy, and I don't know if his stomach literally has the capacity. Like,
no, I mean, he'd be chalked.
What if we?
Whoa. He could pull trig.
I'd allow it. I'd allow it.
He could pull trig, which opens up. I mean, it's not pretty. It's not pretty. Not something I would recommend people do.
Yeah,
but
I'd allow it. I'd allow it because like I feel like
everything's on the table.
Did you see the year
he might die?
Yeah. Did you see the year that Joey Chestnut wasn't allowed, and like the guy that won? As soon as he was done, he was holding the belt and just started throwing up. So like it's allowed in like professional hot dog eating.
But see, like we could add some parameters to this competition. Like let's just say let's just say we're in the stream and there's like a certain thing that I do. Like I'm just looking, and this doesn't have to be it, but I'm looking in the studio. I have a dartboard right here. Let's just say every time I throw a dart
bullseye
and it lands in the bullseye, 10 off or something like that.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. I like that.
Just to keep, because that also keeps the stream spicy. Because I don't think it'd be very spicy just watching me scarf down dogs. Like, I don't think people.
How many throws do you get per game?
Maybe I only get a certain number of throws, like per capita. I don't know.
Like one throw per 10 dogs.
Yeah. That's good because you eat 10 dogs and then you have a chance to eliminate 10 dogs.
Yeah, that's good.
Tune into the stream because we're gonna sort this out behind the scenes. Wyatt's gonna be eating hot dogs.
We'll cook.
I mean, this only matters if Hot Dog Mafia wins.
No, we have to listen back to last episode because we came up with something that was like if they won a game, you had to eat hot dogs if they won the game.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I think it was however many games they win, add up the kills they had from those one games.
It was not that complicated. It was not. I'm pretty sure it was literally straight up.
And
if they win,
you
eat
you guys said like 5-6 different ideas. So like it's.
Okay.
I think
I have zero clue.
Go next.
Listen,
all I'm saying is I'm not trying to see this man eat like 100 of these because I'm gonna be next to him.
What's wrong with that?
This
stream.
Hold the bucket.
And I'm not trying to do that, man. I'm going out to visit for a week. I just would rather not have to see my man throw up. That's all I'm gonna say.
People are saying, like
does
maybe
my
the
opinion
hot dog
probably
one's
matter?
too much.
No, but that's just what I'm putting out there.
Maybe the hot dog one's too much. Maybe if C-Ral ends up winning something, I eat a bowl of cereal for every kill that they had.
Now
with
onto cereal, which
a bowl of cereal per that's almost worse. How big's the bowl?
Nah.
if it makes it better for you, Enoch, Wyatt doesn't eat cereal with milk. Only honey bunches of oats, no milk.
No milk.
But still eats it from a bowl.
But I still eat it from a bowl with a spoon. Yeah. Okay, if Reignite wins, I'll set myself on fire.
We already said we couldn't do that.
Let's do it.
No, that's definitely bannable. That is 100% self-harm on stream. Definitely
pretty sure
banned.
that's a TOS.
If Shopify Rebellion wins,
banned.
Wyatt opens up a Shopify store and starts a business online.
Okay. Yeah, no, I like that.
Up. Now we're talking.
Yeah, I like that. Maybe we'll come up with some new ones here in Group C. There's plenty of options.
Hey, I got one. Let's start with the most important team, Group C. Take us away, Wyatt.
Let's go. Let's get into the breakdown here. Shout out to Jay for the voicemail. But first team from Group C, Team Falcons from the Americas region. They have Imperial Hal as their IGL, Gildersons on the controller, and Waltzy on the controller as well. Drager is the coach. And boys, this is a team that I think when you look at this group, immediately your eye gets drawn to them because they are the big dogs. They are the heavy hitters. What are you guys seeing from Falcons right now? And I'll kick it off with you, Don, because I know you've been watching the scrims. How is everything looking together with the new look Falcons heading into champs?
Yeah, it's been interesting to watch because I think it was a team that we knew if they had enough time, with the caliber of players that they have, they were going to grow into, whatever the meta was going to be, whatever, roles that we're going to need to be the best team that they could be. But it definitely was a little bit of a rockier start. You could definitely just tell, Hal going back to IGL and Guild coming in, obviously he plays a little bit differently than what Zero would bring to the team, right? So there was kind of that adjustment period. You could definitely tell. because, like, for example, Hal really wasn't playing much of like Alter in his like competitive career, and when they had to run Alter with him as the IGL, it definitely didn't flow as well. This is probably more of like the November scrims, but then as we've seen things move on, they just have started to look like the Falcons I think a lot of people expected them to look like, where they can just win a lot of fights, or they rotate very well and win games just by being in the best position throughout the entire game. It's definitely a team that obviously on paper they're going to be, if not the number one, then the number 2 or 3 favorite to win, just being on who you think that favorite is. But it's been a lot of fun to watch, because just seeing their growth over these past few weeks, seeing how, Hal and Walty are working together, how Guild, puts up just some crazy numbers. Hal even said during one of the blocks that, when he was looking up some stats and stuff, he was like, Guild is probably the only team I've ever played with that puts up numbers like I do, or surpasses me a lot of the time. And I think that's the biggest thing that Guild is going to bring. He's going to be a guy that is going to be able to put a ton of pressure on other teams. He's going to be able to really hold down one side of zone while Walty and Hal work together to kind of formulate a plan or a rotator or whatever the case is. And it's a team that, you knew if the cohesion came together that they were going to be disgusting. And that's really what it's been so far in scrims. They've won the most blocks of any team. I think they're up to like 11 or 12 now, last I checked, and they're averaging the most points per block as well. So it's going to be a team that, they're going to be one of the favorites. It's no question. And the really only biggest thing is that in the big moments, do Walty and Hal's communication continue to be the way it needs to be? And I think we all know the answer for the most part is that Walty, if anything, is known as a LAN player. He shows up and is ready to go every single LAN. So I have no doubt they'll be in the conversation when the time comes for a title.
Yeah, I would. Oh,
go ahead, Jumbo.
I was just going to piggyback off that and just say that I think they are without a doubt the number one winners of the fact that there's such a large gap between our previous tournament and this one, because they were the team that needed to have that time in order to, like, as you said, really build that team cohesion and get that messy period of time out of the way when you're first starting to play with each other. And once this team really gets it locked in and dialed and figured out, they just have everything that you could possibly need in order to bring home a championship, other than tap strafing, right? That's really the only thing that you could say that they're missing.
Jumbo, this is going to be the first time in a little while that we've gotten to see IGL Hal back in that role on the LAN stage. How are we feeling about that?
Oh, dude, he said it on this pod. Like from the time that he literally stopped doing it, he felt like he needed to go back to it. So that doesn't what's it called? Concern me at all. And there's the only 2 people that perform the level that Hal could is Hal and then Zero on LAN. So there's that. What I was going to say is that I find interesting that I haven't realized. I don't know if I've seen anyone bring this up or mention this, that this is basically former Moist, but you take out MT, you put in Hal, which, when you take in the fact of both IGLs and who brings in the firepower, it is a pretty big upgrade. And that Moist team got 4th at a split 1 playoffs. Then after it was Timmy, and they were the best team for 3 days straight in the absolute world, and then did bad in finals. There's not much to say any more than what everyone already knows. It's Falcons, and I think that I agree that they're the best team coming into this tournament right now, outside Shopify Rebellion, at least in my opinion, and I think a lot of other people's opinions. I'd like to talk about if they win a game, if Wyatt becomes a Falcon tamer, and then they win just one game, Wyatt has to become a Falcon tamer.
I have to get that sick little glove that they have.
Yeah, you got the sick glove, and you get a Falcon, and then so if they win one game, you become a Falcon tamer, and for every subsequent game, you get a 2nd or 3rd Falcon.
Which they can't be that much. I don't think.
I don't know. We'll figure it out.
They can't be that much.
Let me do some research. How much does a Falcon go for?
Yeah.
These
Okay.
days?
Well, he does that.
We got to figure that out. We need to figure that out for the future.
While he's figuring that out, I think that's the last thing I'll say that's been kind of cool for me to watch is kind of seeing Walty and Guild back together.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, their days from Moist. You could just tell that friendship and kind of that cohesion has been something that they both have really enjoyed. And to kind of see them playing together again, you can just tell even in the tough moments when Hal is kind of having one of his Hal moments where he's frustrated, might be yelling. you can just tell that like Guild and Walty do a really good job of kind of bouncing that negative energy off, and are able to kind of work through it. And even if, you know, that kind of turns into an argument, they do a really good job of bouncing back from it. And I think that's been the biggest difference you've seen since they made that switch with Zero leaving and Guild coming in, is that even when they've had these big blowups, they've done a much better job with kind of recovering from that. Especially as like time has gone on these past couple of weeks, you've really seen anything that's could have turned into something a lot bigger in the past has been reconciled a lot quicker. So that's been really cool to see too, is kind of like just kind of that negative energy that kind of was they were feeling towards the end of the Hal and Zero era has more so kind of washed away a little bit with the addition of Guild. So big cool.
Yeah, I agree that I've noticed that. Like, there's even some videos posted on YouTube that I've watched, and it's interesting to see how fast they kind of take like what could be a bad situation and shape it up really fast. I also forgot to mention about Guild that something throughout the entire history of competitive Apex that I found, like I feel like people throw out these top 5 controller player lists on Twitter, and back all the way in like year 2, Guild was like number 1, number 2 on those all the time. Then after some time, like bouncing around different teams, you know, with people like Koifel and Effect joining the realm, like I found Guild was like falling off those lists, if I remember right. Like I wouldn't see him nearly as often as he should be. And then after he started appearing them on again, I felt like Guild was a guy who's always dropping on and off, when like undeniably, as you said before, Hal saying Guild's one of the only people who's ever been able to put up the same numbers as him. I think Guild's always been at the top of that list. Like it's like a top 3, not just roller player, just like player when it comes to like damage, but also just playing his role. Like he doesn't speak often, but it's because he doesn't need to. He doesn't want to like over talk on other people. And like, but that means when he does speak, you know, it's probably something important. So always been a huge fan of Guild's play. I think he's one of the best in the game, undeniably.
Enoch, how much is a Falcon?
All right, so honestly, at the beginning, I thought it was going to be outrageous, but according to Reddit Falconry, you are looking at approximately 1,500 to 2,000, and that's just to get all of the equipment and like housing and everything you would need.
Yeah.
And so it would probably looking at like a couple hundred per extra Falcon.
Oh wow!
But if we get some crowdfunding going from the pod, we could make Wyatt's Falconry a reality. I thought it originally. I thought it was going to be the thing that I looked at. It said a couple hundred to 1,000, and I was reading it really fast, so I thought I read a couple 100,000, and I was like, oh my gosh, Wyatt's not doing this.
Yeah,
but no, it's doable. It's doable.
It's attainable. It's attainable. Yeah. Subscribe, like the video. That'll help us out. If you want to see me become a Falcon guy,
and listen to it twice. Actually, feel free.
That'd be nice. Actually, go listen to the audio version after you're done with the video version. That's ideal.
There's dogs.
And then follow us on
expensive.
Spotify as well. Literally, they're all.
Oh, dude, dogs can get mad pricey. If you want like a purebred dog of like certain varieties, like. There are dogs out there that you could easily pay like a couple 100,000 for. Like a Tibetan Mastiff, something like that.
I was going to say Tibetan
that,
Mastiff.
It does say a rare Falcon here costs $465,000. That's Imperial Hell.
But that's rare, right? Like that's
you just get Imperial Hell and you get the train.
I'm getting the most basic Falcon I can find. I'm finding the most basic Falcon out there. But there it is. There we go. Now, moving on from Falcons, we go to another team in the Americas, and this could be it's the most perfect. When they made the groups, they knew what they were doing. Liquid Alienware with Funk, Zero as the IGL, and Sykes sitting there on the squad as well with Winnie as the coach. And when we look at Liquid Alienware, Dawn, this is another team almost in the exact same vein as Falcons. A very, very high tier, upper echelon IGL could be considered the best in the world, depending on who you're talking to. Going into a new situation and trying to figure out what they're going to do moving forward. As far as Liquid Alienware is concerned, how have they been playing so far?
You can definitely tell that it's taken a bit more time for them to kind of find their cohesion. I really haven't seen too many blocks so far where I've been like, okay, like this is the team that we're expecting. You can still tell that they're trying to figure out kind of how things are going to be with this team, how the role fits are going to be. there's also been some blocks too, where like one person's missing, and like one day it might be Zero, the other day it might be Funk, and like Winnie's had to fill in a few times for some scrim blocks and stuff like that. But it just, you want to say like, oh, the team has Zero, so like they have to be, you know, amongst the best teams that are there. But for me, it's just like, I just really haven't seen it yet. And I know it's just scrims, and obviously it's not the end all be all, but you like to at least have some sort of signs that like they're starting to figure some things out. And just really haven't seen too much of that as of yet, which we obviously still have a couple weeks, you know, for them to figure out some things here at the last minute. But it's just been, it just really hasn't been what I kind of expected this team to be. I didn't think it'd be right away that they'd potentially mesh well together, but I thought by now they might have figured out a couple more things. But we'll obviously have to wait and see, because again, Zero to LAN, always a different story potentially. But yeah, I mean, just even seeing things like Funk has been like on crypto, which obviously that's not really a character we've ever really associated him with. He's always been more the aggressor, trying to open up fights and things like that. So it's going to be one that, you know, it's going to be where I have to wait and kind of see what happens at LAN. You know, if we want to throw out like a ceiling and a floor here, it's hard for me to say the floor is, you know, missing finals because it's Zero. But like just the way that if you were just to base it solely on scrims right now, it's like the possibility of like a losers round 2 exit like could potentially be there. But like if I'm betting on it, it's like, again, it's Zero, it's Sykes, it's Funk. You know, even as much people has talked about Funk negatively, he still has had moments like EWC last year that he was absolutely dynamic. So I don't think you should count this team out. I just think that maybe that floor is a little bit lower than maybe we're used to for Zero's teams.
I think the thing is, if you think about, all three of these guys have missed finals before, right? So like, I wouldn't disagree with you there that like it could happen. Anything can happen on LAN. Really, things could go wrong. But like if those guys, as you were saying, do show up and like, you know, are ready to play and the vibes are good on LAN day, they're all still some of the greatest players and have some of the, like Sykes and Zero have played on LAN together before. This isn't their first time. So there's quite a bit that they accomplished there. The other thing I do like about Zero is I feel like a lot of people see the way he is on scrims and stream and everything like that, and the way he talks, and they think that that's the way the vibes are in on LAN. Listening to a lot of his comms, like I'm even going back all the way to like year 3 champs when they like didn't make it to finals. I remember like you would think that this guy would be like screaming, raging, freaking out on his team. And when they were about to lose, he was saying to his teams like, boys, we did everything we could today. Like, don't worry about it. Like that's like the shit he said. So hopefully if that's what's brought to this tournament, like we don't see that happen. And they take it the distance.
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna say
sorry,
real quick, as always, like Zero on LAN has always been a different person than we've seen in scrims or, you know, even pro leagues or anything like that. So yeah, I definitely think that, you know, if they, you know, show up the way that they should, they will definitely still compete to potentially win LAN. Like I said, it's just one of those things that like it's gonna be a little bit more interesting just because we haven't seen this team really perform and pop off yet. So but it'll be a fun one though, because it's I mean, who would have thought once again somehow with all the roster changes, Hal and Zero still end up in the same group somehow.
2 days straight, just going
poetic,
at it.
Man. It's poetic.
When you look at the ceiling and the floor of this team, you can see the ceiling, them hoisting the trophy. When it comes to the floor, do you think that there's any possibility that Zero and the boys end up missing this finals lobby?
I would say there's a chance for sure. I mean, as Jumbo stated, they've all missed a finals in the past, and so, like, we can't say that that's out of the question. Like, obviously, it would be incredibly rare for Zero to miss a finals. Like, I believe he's only missed one. I mean, so he's won more finals than he's missed, which pretty sure there's very, very few people that can say that. But it really just comes down to whether or not they're able to because individually you could make the argument that they're all like top players in the game, unquestionable. Like they all are just outstanding on their own, but it really just is going to be a testament to whether or not they're able to really put it together. We've seen Sykes and Zero have success in the past, but I believe that was when they were playing with Jin Burden, who fills in and plays a different role on a team than you necessarily have seen out of Funk in the past. And so I think it'll be like, this is probably going to be the best example of, I mean, if it goes poorly, it will be the best example of you can put 3 like phenomenally talented players on the same team, but that doesn't mean that they're going to do well. And they haven't been performing the best in scrims, as Don talked about. But like, they also could end up being, I know I said the Falcons was the number 1 winner of there being a ton of time. And they've been able to show that they've been able to make use of that time. And so there's still a good amount of time left and plenty of time for them to really put it together and make it happen. And so if it ends up being better than we all think it'll probably be, they'll definitely take that spot from Falcons of being the number 1 winners of having this much time. And it appears that they're going to be needing it much more than Falcons.
Also,
does.
I was completely forgetting too. Sykes and Funk were literally 1 fight away from winning it all last year too in Japan. A lot of time has passed. They've been with completely different teams and everything like that. Swapping regions. We got new metas. We got new maps. Like a lot has changed since last Japan champs. But they were 1 fight away. They were on match point, and were they on? Right? Like it was VP. Yeah. VP was the one who wasn't on match point. They were on match point. Go next. And honestly. So 2 things I think lost in that fight. 1, not having Cat. They took a lot of damage to Cat spikes. But 2, I remember talking to Sykes after, and he said that he had a Mastiff, and he dropped all his attachments for both Sweet and Funk. And so he went into that fight with a no attachment Mastiff and just couldn't like keep up with the bubble fights because of the Gibby and everything like that. You know, if they're not dealing with that sort of end game where like it was so shotgun, Gibby, bubble, Newcastle heavy, things could change. So who knows? Like they've all done it before, and they got a lot of criticism last year as well for not scrimming too often because Sweet didn't scrim as often. So they didn't have really good scrim results either. So anyways.
Yeah. I think the catalyst to everything will be Funk, I think. I think for the most part, you know what you're going to get out of Sykes. I know you know what you're going to get out of Zero. I'm interested to see what happens with Funk because from watching Monsoon so closely back with Complexity, when he joined that squad, it kind of felt like however he was going was how their day was going to go. And ultimately, it didn't end well for Complexity and the boys. But that's where I'm kind of keeping my eye to see where he's at in those early group stages. Because if he's going, this team is extremely dangerous. So I just want to see where he's at. And like Enoch said, if they have that time together and Zero can kind of put him in the direction exactly where he wants him to go, then I mean, like we mentioned, this is a very, very dangerous team. And you can 100% see them winning the trophy. But it's just that little bit, it's just that little small margin of error where you're not 100% sure. And it's just a weird situation with Liquid Alienware right now. But I just want to see what happens with them. Very excited to see them in the same group with Falcons. You're going to get some key moments. You get some fun moments in Group C. But let's move on into the next team from this group, and that is Team 5 Fears from APAC South. My favorite team in the world because you got Gop Gaps and you got Fafa Fifth. Just the best names in the league. And then you have A-Flow. Sorry, A-Flow. It's still good. It's just not Gop Gaps or Fafa Fifth. So there we go. That is Team 5 Fears from APAC South. Donnie, when we look at 5 Fears and just APAC South as a general region, they're in a region of what we like to call it throughout most of the breakdowns this year, the group of fun. It's just absolute chaos, nonsense, nonstop. But then when you get to a champ stage, you need to be a little bit more buttoned up. And do you think 5 Fears has that ability to do that? What's their ceiling? What's their floor?
Yeah, 5 Fears is definitely a fun team, I think, for me personally to talk about, just because APAC South, you know, when you think about them this year, you think about Gen G, you think about Wolves, you think about VK Gaming. Those are kind of the 3 standouts that everybody's talked about. VK winning, how Gen G has performed very well. Even throwing like Alcatsia too as well. Like, a lot of people have known those players and those rosters for some time. But 5 Fears, they've made both finals of both lands this year. They got 19th of the Open, then they got 13th at EWC. And there's not really too many teams, like when you really probably put the list together, that can say they've made both finals of both lands this year. And they're a team that, again, it's not going to be the most flashy thing ever. It's not going to be, where Asia for Gen G goes and gets, 20 kills in 2 games or something crazy like that. But they're just a team that I think they're you can see their cohesion when they fight. You can see that they rotate very well. They're a team that, when they put it all together, they're able to make, their way through a tournament and make it to finals. Ultimately, a team that I can kind of compare them to a little bit is kind of like SAUL. We talked about how I think, they're a team that they're good enough to make it to finals, but it's like, when are you going to make that next step to really be like a serious contender? I feel like for Five Fears, you make both finals this year. What's that next step going to be? Like, can you be a team that can show like, hey, we can work our way on the match point and be a serious contender? Or is it going to be kind of another case of, they can make finals, but once they have to fight some of these higher quality fighting teams more consistently, that's where it falls off. That's going to be the question for them at this tournament is, I think they're a team that can work their way to finals, but can then they go and win those fights when they need to against the Falcons, the Shopifys, and the few other teams that we usually mention, Alliance, all that kind of stuff. So, but again, the very balanced team, it's like 50-50 when it comes to points and placement points. Again, you can just really go down the list of some of the things that they did. They got 4th in their pro league, again, right behind all the 3 teams that I mentioned. But I mean, even like Fafa 5th, again, you would talk about kills. He was 6th in the pro league for APAC South in kills. So they can go get kills when they need to. So it's a team that I think is definitely going to be overlooked. I think they're going to be one of my underdog teams that, again, I think that you'll kind of look up and be like, oh, like this team made finals. But if you really watch them, you'll really kind of respect the way that they are able to kind of handle themselves and compete with the top teams of the world.
Now, when we look at ceiling and floor here, Jumba, one thing I think if you're Five Fears right now, the one thing you're looking to do is just make that finals lobby for all 3 lands in this year. That would be an extremely impressive feat. And I know their placements haven't been like uber great or anything, but for a young up and coming team to be able to make those finals lobbies in all 3 of them would be super impressive. And just looks great on your guys' resume moving forward. And it kind of gives me like that Sentinels effect where it's like, if you guys can stay together for a long time and continue to build and build and build, that'll be the great thing. I think their ceiling can be there in this tournament because the only thing you can say against it maybe is because EWC has a very weird format. And obviously we know about the Open. That was, different as well. Where do you see it?
They could be there's someone that could be like a vibe of like a Wolves pulled off or like a Gen G pulled off. Like they could like sneak into that top 5. They made both finals this year, and in like you guys said, like in their pro league, they finished quite well. I believe they got 4th and 5th in pro league this year. And some people I think in the past have said, it's APAC South, it's not NA. APAC South, I think we need to undeniably say is like a top region now. So it's not just any small feat to get top 5 there. So yeah, so I think that like if they have a good final day, get some early points and they, pick up a late heavy point game or something like that, or maybe a late win when other teams are getting match point, we'll see them in like top 5. We could. But I think their floor is still finals. I think they make it. It's a team who's been good, and that region has come out to perform. So yeah, I'm excited to see how they're going to be on actual LAN day. I think they get finals.
Now, Enoch, from our perspective here, if they end up winning the whole tournament, I think what I have to do is I have to do all of my 5 most worst fears. Number 1, being buried alive. I got to bury myself alive. Put a camera in there.
Dude, I used to be terrified of that when I was younger.
I'm still terrified of it
I
now.
used to be
Sometimes
like
I have horrible dreams about it.
Tripping out about that happening. Do you have horrible dreams about that? That's not.
Yeah,
it's not a vibe.
Yeah, dude, it's not a vibe. It's not. I think I'm okay with height, but I feel like extreme height would get me. So I just probably scale
How
a
tall
building.
we talking?
Come to Toronto, and you can do a walk on the outside of the CN Tower. You're in a harness and everything like that, but like you like walk on the edge of the CN Tower. Don't do it.
Oh, you know what? It's something that people are. I don't know if you guys will think this is weird. I'm not a big roller coaster guy.
We got roller coasters here too.
Whoa, hold on.
One of the tallest roller coasters in the world.
We're saying one of your 5 worst fears in the world
Is a roller coaster?
is a roller coaster.
I'm not a roller coaster guy, bro. They scare the shit out of me.
I mean,
I've tried to get off
between
them
something
before.
like, oh yeah, I'm like not the biggest fan, but you know they're all, but like you like,
dude,
you're
a lot
fearful?
of times when I go to like places, I'm like, I'll just watch the carts. You guys go, like you guys, but I secretly just don't want to go on the ride because I'm low key afraid of it. Going upside down, like what if I just fucking fall off?
Does upside down scare you, or does a really steep drop stare you?
Both. And then like one time I got on one not knowing it was one where your legs are dangling.
Yeah.
And that wasn't a fun
We
time.
got a great theme park here in Toronto that like there's like they have some of the steepest drops. One of the roller coasters got beat out, but it had, I think, like the tallest drop. It doesn't have it anymore. There's a couple that go upside down corkscrews. There's one you lie in and then corkscrews. I don't like the feet dangling one. Ever since I got a concussion, if I'm on that, the way it makes my head shake, I come off dizzy out there. Yeah. So
are we sure you're even able to ride the scary ones?
I was hoping we were going to get to the conversation without saying that. That's just
I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. I think I'm tall enough. I think I'm tall enough.
We're about to get another voicemail from Jay saying you're not tall enough.
So okay, so 5 fears. Okay, let's put roller coasters to the side for a sec.
Being buried alive.
Skydiving's the next one, so we go skydiving.
Are we doing all of that on stream, by the way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll stream. If we could get
cereal
internet
with milk.
connection 30,000 feet in the sky.
We need a juicer streamer backpack.
Yeah, we would need like a. That's why you got to subscribe and like this video right now and then
And watch it 3 times.
Yeah, that's what, if you want me to do all these things, that has to happen. I guess I could rewatch Super Bowl 43. Can't take my eyes off the screen. Every time a highlight comes on from that Super Bowl, I immediately turn my face. I don't.
Where does Game 7 Dallas vs Avalanche first round playoffs last year rank?
That one actually wasn't that bad because I didn't think we were gonna win anyway. But
no, 3-2 and under like in the end of the game.
No, it was 2-0 until you and Jay walked over to me.
My bad.
And jinxed my ass.
My bad.
Yeah, we could figure out the 5 fears though.
Yeah.
I've got some good ones. I think.
What's
I've got
happened
some
to
good ones.
rewatch the ending of Love Is Blind? Another one of those.
Oh my god, dude. Yeah, those were some bad ones. Okay, next team comes from
Sparkle Megan talk again.
Yeah, this is Sparkle Megan. Next
Lord.
team comes from APAC North, and that is Team Unlimit. It's Yulari Man, Peace, and Suvi, I believe is how you say it there. They've had no lands together as a trio. But Don, when you look at Unlimit, I believe our first APAC North team of this group, what do you see?
Chaos. Like simple
Absolute
enough.
chaos.
Absolute chaos. I will say though, like if you're a fan of just seeing a team willing to take any fight, this is the team you want to star, circle, whatever, highlight this team, because Yulari Man is one of the, and I'm just saying this most respectfully, freaks on a controller that I've ever seen. Dude puts up some insane KP numbers. Or I think even today I saw during like 4 games of scrims or like 5 games of scrims, he had like 22 kills and 11,000 damage. And like doing that at the pro level at any time is just absolutely ridiculous. I think he had, he had 153 kills in Pro League, which led the world in Split 2, which is, again, just absolutely insane. But Peace also, at the same time, put up 91 kills in the same split. So you have 2 guys combined putting up over 240 kills in one split of Pro League, where some of those teams don't put up that many kills in Pro League in both splits combined. Like, it's going to be a team, basically. You're going to get Suvi on the crypto. You're going to get Peace and Yulari Man on an altar or a Maggie or, Bang, Ash, whatever the character is, and they're just going to run it down. Like, that's what they're known for. They're going to play edge POIs and just try to end face most of the time. I will say, to their credit, they have actually won a couple scrim blocks recently. So it'll be interesting to see if they maybe figured out some things that maybe they don't just have to run everything down and they can maybe play to win the game a little bit more. But again, Peace, Yulari, man, they're going to be a crazy duo for anybody to have to deal with. I think why I mainly called this the group of death is because of a team like this. Is like you obviously have the Falcons, the Liquids, the 5 Fears, ALGS, all these teams that we know have performed well at LANs. But then you have a team like this, like FaZe Clan that we'll talk about in a little bit, that can absolutely just run down any lobby. It's a whole nother variable that all these teams have to be prepared for. So they're going to be a fun team to watch. We saw at EWC that unfortunately their ceiling could be that they leave pretty early in the tournament if things don't go too well. But if they have some banger group stage days, like a team that can put up a ton of kills can, who knows? I don't even know what the ceiling is, to be honest, because when they depend so much on kills, there's going to be a lot that goes your way. But it's going to be a lot of fun. It's just going to be a lot of chaos at the same time.
When you look at the placements, the best placements for all of these players on the team, Yulari, man, 11th place at the ALGS Open. That's really, really good. And then you have Peace and Suvi, 124th place at the ALGS Open. So, Jumba, I think you could say there's like a lack of experience there, especially when you're going into a champs lobby. So I would say, somebody has to be near the bottom, right? Like somebody, has to be there. Would you say their floor is maybe losers 1, maybe?
Correct me if I'm wrong, Don. Yulari, man, like these guys haven't even played at too many LANs, right? Like it's the open, yeah. Like they just only got the opportunity to play at this year, right? And EWC, I love the format. I think it creates for really exciting LAN. It's also really interesting because it gives players like a little bit more rest time. They only play 10 games a day, and they're there for just a few hours. All to just say, going out early in like an EWC is always a little bit interesting to me because I'm like, okay, like you just had a bad day basically. Like even if you made like they came 36, meaning they went out day 1, so you just had a bad day. Shit happens. I remember going into EWC excited to watch Unlimit because as like Don was saying, like Yulari, man, and like these guys are just insane, like with like their skill. And how good they are fighting. It's exciting to watch. So, I don't know if they're going to come last. I think that they actually probably if they get more than one day to play, they got 3 lobbies to try and make a name for themselves. Then they have double elimination bracket. I think that they could come they could make it through losers round 2. They might even make it through winners. They're a little bit more of a wild card team to me because they can just fight so well. Finals, will they win on match point? Will the aggression hurt them? I don't know what that's going to look like, but they could win fights, and that's all you need, points to get through.
I'll say real quick, too, with this team, what's so interesting is that you've got Peace and Suvi, who are both 20, and you have Yulari, man, who's 18. You want to talk about just youth and an experience. We've kind of mentioned it with, obviously, their lack of LAN experience this year. It's going to be a team that, it may not be, it may not be put all together this year. And again, we'll have to see at Japan, because like Jumbo just mentioned, like when you get multiple days and you have one of those days where, let's say they put up 100 points in a lobby, that could put you in that kind of position to qualify, right, to the winners bracket. So if they're able to do something like that, you never know. But I think the best thing for them is that they are young. They can kind of just go out there and be like, hey, we have nothing to lose. Let's go for it. Let's have some fun. Let's see what, chaos we can create. And the biggest thing that I'm hoping to see is that we do kind of see this improvement for this roster. Maybe they do make a losers round 2. Maybe they do find their way into finals. But a team that I'm going to be keeping my eye on in the future, because if these guys stay together and continue to develop, this could be a team that we're like, oh, this is like the new APAC North powerhouse potentially. So definitely keep your eye on these guys because it's going to be a fun one to watch for sure.
And then after that, we're going to move on into the next team here. This is Virtus Pro. And I'm going to go with you first, Enoch, on this one. For Team Virtus Pro from the Americas, they've got MT as the IGL, Slayer on the controller, and Lou on the controller. And this team was another one that kind of formed a little bit later on in the season. But you have an IGL like MT, and then you have Slayer and Lou, who've played a pretty long time together. When you look at the ceiling of this team versus the floor, they haven't played a whole lot of time. But you mentioned earlier, there's been a very extended break in between them being able to, get ready to play for this tournament. Where do you see them kind of fitting in, and where do you think they excel?
Yeah, I'll be shocked if I don't see this team in finals. I with this team, especially with their performance at the previous lands with Zach Mazer as their IGL, that's all I'm going to say is definitely 100% see them making finals. And when it comes to like how they're going to do in finals, I think it's really just going to come down to how they like that very day. But I do think that Slayer and Lou play exceptionally well together, and having MT slide in and fill that role in the IGL department, I think that they could see an incredible amount of success. But yeah, I would be absolutely. I think their floor is finals, but that's where I'm going to go with. But in terms of their ceiling, obviously, I'd think that this is a team that, on the right day, they could bring it home, but also on the wrong day, they could end up in 20th.
Yeah, that's kind of where things can go. But I'm going to throw this on down to you, Jumba. When you talk about MT, there is a long list of accomplishments for this particular IGL, maybe one that doesn't get talked about enough. And I also think we've seen a really big resurgence from Slayer this year. It's kind of unfortunate the way champs points have gone and all the different roster movements. Sometimes that gets overshadowed. But both of I really feel like this team put together could be one of those teams where you don't really think about it doesn't jump off the page. But as we get into the tournament and things start to go their way, you'd be like, yeah, this makes a ton of sense, because even MT this year had a really solid year, but because of all of the roster mania, that kind of stuff, it got lost in the shuffle how good he was as well. Where do you kind of see this team going?
I mean, the biggest thing about this squad is that, like, macro-wise, understanding of the game, these three guys, it doesn't really get better. They all have some of the best knowledge when it comes to Apex. Like, even I don't think people give credit to Slayer enough for how good like his calls are and understanding like how to rotate for zones, finding good spots. Like Zach talked to us about this a lot when we had him on the pod, how he kept saying like, you know, Slayer was a big reason for a lot of their success when he was there. And I agree with that. As I've listened to more of their comms, all three of them just have such a good understanding of rotations and how to play macro, that they get themselves in the right spots, right? Which will get them a lot of points. The thing that comes in here is like, they're not going to be as aggressive and they're not going to have the firepower as some other teams. So that's where they might struggle sometimes, in my personal opinion. If they can put that together, they can find themselves going deep. I agree with Enoch. Finals wouldn't even, surprise me from this squad, obviously. But it depends how that fighting is going to come out on day of. And especially when they get into those spots, being able to defend them and advance forward and win games.
Don, was there anything that they missed, and kind of where do you think that they fit in?
No, I think they worded that really well. I definitely agree with a lot of things that they said, that definitely look for these guys, more towards center zone. That's definitely where they're going to have their points accumulate. And what MT's bread and butter has always been as an IGL, is getting his teams to good spots early on. And again, it's just going to come down to, can they defend those really good spots from these really high power fighting teams that we're going to see at this LAN. If they're able to do that, we've seen them go on runs during Pro League or other tournaments that they've looked good. But yeah, it's definitely going to be one of those that I also do think that they make finals. I can see a world where they go out before finals just because of the lack of KP potentially. But I do think with the experience of this roster, they've all played multiple LANs. They know what it takes to get to finals. I do think that they do end up making it there. It's just, again, what is then that ultimate ceiling going to be of, can they make it to match point, when there's usually at least a couple teams that pop off early on. So we'll have to wait and see. But again, very excited to see an IGL like MT always back in a LAN. And obviously players like Slayer and Lou, guys that have been to multiple LANs as well from our region. So really excited to see what VP is able to put together.
Yeah, and if VP ends up winning, I will fight a polar bear for that. That will be the challenge for that one. I will fight a polar bear. That is their logo. Should be pretty easy for me to get that all set up and executed. So that's what we'll do for that one. As we move into this one, Don, I'll just kick it right back off with you. Quadsiah from APAC South. Kind of a weird up and down split two. Just a weird thing to they get Kimchi from from USA over to this team in like a weird little backwards It was just like it came out of nowhere. Just didn't really expect it. They've got Player K and they got Pricey as the IGL, and this one's hard to pinpoint too. I think when you look at a lot of these teams, and we're looking through our entire list, you look at their year 5 LAN performances as a full squad, and a lot of these teams have not played together or played at a LAN together. And this is another one of those where it's like, where are they? Who are they? How are they going to fit? Where does it end up taking them? Who knows? But you have a little bit more info on just watching them from scrims. Do you think they're gelling? Do you think that this makes sense? Can you see them making a finals lobby? Where are ALGS?
Yeah, so I've definitely watched them quite a bit. Shout out to my guy Pandas, who's their coach. But I've talked to him quite a bit about where he's been at with the team, how he feels about things, what he's seen and things like that. And again, I think they're very comparable to like a VP or, teams that are going to want to get to zone early, are going to want to, again, figure out ways to fight against these better fighting teams to hold their spot when it comes to those late end games. But again, a team with a ton of experience. Again, we've got Kimchi at five lands already. Player K, Pricey, both again players that have been prominent in the APAC South region for a while now. And it's very possible that they, again, will make finals. We saw them at the beginning of the year at the Open when they had a Strafing Flame there. They were right in the mix with everybody, with Alliance and Falcons in terms of the top of the leaderboard. Obviously, if that game didn't end with Falcons, ALGS would have been on match point and had their potential opportunity to go win the ALGS Open. So they're a team that, again, typically hangs around. Is going to be a team that, again, maybe won't have like the sexiest 20, 25 KP wins out there like some other teams could potentially have the LAN, but they just play very smart Apex. They're very sound. They have very solid communication. Again, ultimately, not to just, again, beat the same drum. It's going to come down to how they fight. It's going to come down, can they win the important fight at the right time? And if they can do that, again, they have all the experience to make a run to finals. And again, we saw them with earlier this year. They were very close to being on to match point as well. So I definitely think their ceiling is making finals and being a threat if things go their way. But if they're not picking up that KP and they're dying early on in rotations and things like that, like we see some zone teams do in the past, it could be a losers round 2 exit as well. So we'll have to see with them. But again, just another APAC South team. Again, I think they have 9 or 10 coming to this LAN this year, which is the most that they've had at LANs ever. So really excited to see, just again, another representative from that region, just to show the depth that they've got going on.
Jumba, if I'm not mistaken, you're a big Pricey guy.
Yeah, I mean, it was a while back. Jay put me on Pricey and like just helped me realize that guy is like insane when it comes to fragging out. So Pricey is definitely going to be like the star of this squad. Between IGL, between damage, between everything, like he's going to be the one like who's really going to put out the most for the team. They're a wild card squad in general for me though, like because I mean I feel like they've been a wild card for a while. 3rd place to missing finals, kind of crazy. They were on like the chopping block where actually didn't they played pretty low, I'm pretty sure, in like their most recent pro league, but they just had enough champs points from the first LAN from the Open that got them in. So like, it's a wild card squad. I don't really actually have a clear idea what's going to happen, especially with like Kim now being in there. I always have loved Strafing as one of like the greatest minds in the game, but that guy's my boy. I'll even go ahead and say it. Even with him, they're still a wild card squad because it felt like there's days he comes out just absolutely farming, and there's days where it's like I talk to him and he'll tell me, he's like, I don't know what happened today. So yeah, like it's gonna be an interesting squad coming in here. I can't really pinpoint floor ceiling, but yeah.
Yeah, they're very tough to figure out, and I think this next team should be a home run, should be very easy to figure out, but they've made it very difficult for us to do that. And I'll throw that one to Enoch. This is TSM with Duplex as the IGL, Gent, and Panic. And Enoch, when this team first came together, when they were like, TSM is back and Panic is on the squad, we saw Panic at the Open kind of his coming out party. Like, this guy is gross. He's going to be insane. We had him on the pod. Great time with him. They go to TSN, and it's up and down. You never really know which TSM you're going to get. You don't know which team. You have games or days where they are fragging out, going absolutely insane. And then you have other days where it seems like they're turning off stream after game 3, and you're not really sure what went wrong. So when it comes to TSM, where do you see them kind of fitting into the fold here?
Yes, I think they will probably have the greatest disparity for me that I'll have as a take. I could see a fairly early exit if things are just not like, I think if they have a bad start, I think it's going to be incredibly hard for them to like overcome that. Like, if we see them ending up in losers early, it's probably, I don't think we're going to see the victory run through losers. But if they get good vibes going and they're like locked in, I could like definitely see them making finals. How they'll do in finals is completely up in the air. Like, definitely a wild card. But I will say that like Gent, when it comes down to like people who are playing the game, few people are playing more than Gent, and few people are playing more than Panic. I don't think the same can be said for Dupe, but those two, in terms of like sheer amount of time of playing the game at a time where outside of scrims, pro players are finding it to be an incredibly hard game to put in time. Those two have done an exceptionally like well job of putting in the time. So I think that they have that going for them, which I'd like to think, like, obviously when it comes to LAN, that might not mean the most, but I do think that will have an impact and hopefully push them further than they would have been otherwise. But yeah, I would say that this is probably the most wild card team. I could see them having an exceptional finals performance if all of the stars are aligned. But I could also see this just not being their LAN to have a LAN.
Mm-hmm.
They, I think playing the game, ranking, actually, like, there's a lot of pros who will attribute like hours in game to like being the most important thing, like even outside scrims. All I want to say is like, yeah, when fucking me and Enoch were trying to help me hit Masters 3 months ago, there was one Newcastle on those servers every single day, and it was Panic slamming my shit for 2 days straight. So,
yeah, I mean, and I think he's kind of, I don't think it's much of a crazy take. I think he's the one that's going to make it go. He's going to be the wild card, similar to what I said earlier with Funk. I think I don't even think it has to do with his gameplay. I think a lot of it has to come down to just how he's feeling mentally. And like Enoch said, a good start might be the most important thing for TSM, because if they have a bad first day and he just can't get out of that, that's going to be tough for them to come back from, because he kind of is what makes it go. So, Donnie, what do you think about TSM?
I mean, if I were to try to put it as simply as I can for this team, it's ultimately going to come down to the in-game relationship between Dupe and Panic. They both like to come a lot. They both like to have a say in what's going on. I think Gent does a pretty good job of balancing things on most of the teams that he's been on. It's really never been an issue with him. But I just think that the way Dupe plays the game, and I think the way that Panic plays the game, can just be two very different avenues. And I think when you're at this level, when you have that kind of pull in two different directions, that kind of causes those 1 or 2 seconds that you need to like get to a spot or take a fight. If you're delayed at all at this level, you're either losing out in a spot or you're losing that 3v3. I think that ultimately is what TSM can run into a lot, is when those two aren't in sync and they're pulling in kind of those different directions. That's where it can fall apart very quickly for this roster. So I think, again, we'll know what Gent is going to bring. He's been very consistent on any team that he's been on in the past. But ultimately, it's going to kind of come down to what is that relationship with Dupe and Panic when it comes to making those macro and micro calls. Because, again, if you're that 1 or 2 seconds late at any point in any of these games, you can get absolutely fried. So we'll have to wait and see. Panic, obviously, is always a game changer in any fight. So if he's on and can have a LAN performance like no other, maybe we see this team in finals and maybe making some noise. But everything, at least I've seen right now, and I don't really think it's a crazy take to say it, I see them missing finals, at least in the current form that I've seen them. So we'll have to wait and see, though. You never want to doubt somebody as good as Panic is on the roller. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, the way I viewed this, even before we had gotten close to champs and everything like that, is this tournament will ultimately decide the future of Panic, I think. Because I don't see, if they don't have a good tournament, I'm pretty sure he's just going elsewhere and finding a different opportunity. I think even if they do well, he might still do the same thing. So I think that's kind of like, I think this might be the last time you see this iteration of TSM, barring anything other than like a win or something like that, because everybody knows how good Panic is. When we were going to the after parties and talking to some of these players, like every single person was like, we're going to try to get Panic. Like every single person you were talking to, they were all going for Panic. So this could be the last run for this version of TSM. And I think I want to see them do well. I think all of us would agree having TSM in a finals lobby with Panic, Gent, and Dupe would be incredible to watch, especially if they're taking it late into the series. But you just don't know. They're the ultimate wild card. The ultimate wild card.
I will say Panic, it appears that he wants to do well. Like he wants it more than most. And the hours he's been putting in definitely reflects that. And yeah, like Gent, like that dude is one of the most consistent players I think that we've seen over the span of the last few years in terms of like dedication to putting time in. And so like they have everything that they need to do well. But if they're not meshing, it's just gonna, like, the wheels can fall off the bus very fast.
Very fast. We've seen it happen multiple times, and that was just Pro League. Imagine being on a LAN stage. I will say too, I also want them to go deep, just because Panic on the interview it's electric every single time. You never know what you're gonna get. I need more Panic interviews, so I'm excited for it. Okay, moving into APAC South, we've got Cupid Esports with Evoy, XD, and Johnny R. Don, I got to throw this one to you because I have no idea. What's up with Cupid Esports?
Yeah, so Cupid Esports is going to be one that, again, they're going to be a team that, if you think kind of classic APAC South, that are going to be very aggressive, are going to take a lot of potentially questionable fights in some people's eyes, and will definitely be one of those teams that you might see them put up 25 kills and win a game, or they might be out within 25 seconds of the game starting. They're going to be one of those teams that they just are going to go for broke. That's just how they've played. If people remember, like X and Y was what the team used to be called previously. X and Y was very well known for doing the same thing at Impact South. But again, we have these group stage formats where all it is getting points. That can bode well for teams like this, where they don't have to worry about having to get first place every time. They don't have to worry about, I have to get, top 10 this specific group. All it is, hey, we have 6 games. Let's just go fry as many people as we can. And if we can pick up 40 or so kills in this lobby, that's going to put us around the cusp of potentially getting to the winners bracket. So it's going to be a team that's going to probably go for broke again. I haven't really seen anything in scrims to say that they're really planning on changing much of anything. But again, it's going to be a team that could also be a lot of fun. Probably not a lot of fun for the players on the server because they're going to do some interesting stuff. But it's going to be one that, again, you want to keep your eye on because they will potentially take fights pretty early and often. So definitely keep your eye. I think it's usually Johnny R is usually the one that opens up a lot of fights for them. So definitely keep, if you're looking for anybody, to be looking for him to be doing stuff like that. I believe it's him and XD. I think usually their first 2 in fights. So we'll have to wait and see. It's going to be it's going to be another fun, exciting one with this team. So we'll see how they can do.
Yeah, they kind of give me the vibe of like, anytime I watch a LAN, there's a team that I just hear their name a lot, and then when we get to like losers 2, and I realize they're not in the lobby, I'm like, wait, what happened? They went out way earlier than I thought. They just fought so much that you thought they were doing good. They weren't. That happens to me every time I watch a LAN. That seems like that could be the vibe of of Cupid Esports.
If we didn't have the draft and stuff like that, and people are just landing whatever POIs, you will 100% see them contested to whoever they'd want. Like that's just kind of the team that they
the
are.
Good old days.
So the some would say the good old days. Yeah, I know. Shout out Jayhawk because I know he misses contesting. He mentions that a few times. So
yeah,
but gotta be an interesting team to watch. That's for sure.
If Cupid Esports wins it all, I will have somebody shoot me with an arrow.
Dude, if they honestly win it all, they can shoot me with 10 arrows because that would be. I don't even know. Like,
you heard it here first.
All respect to them, like that would be an absolutely insane.
No, we can't kill Donnie. How would we do these recaps?
No, we won't kill him. We'll just shoot him.
How would
like,
we do these previews?
We'll
Wait, I thought it was going to be with like the heart,
areas.
like the heart at the end of the arrow, right? Like, isn't that like
that might hurt?
That
worse.
would be. I think it's going to be worse.
Arrowhead, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, as long as it's not sharp, if it's like rounded, I don't know. I'm just spitballing here.
We'll figure
it
it out.
Just sub to the channel, and you'll see us do that maybe. So
figure it out.
Final two teams here, boys. We've got FaZe Clan from EMEA from the Last Chance qualifier. They got the second place. It is Synetics, Zane, and Nags. And Donnie, when we were doing the regional recap after every episode during Split 2, we talked about FaZe, I think, every single time because we could not figure out who this team was. 1 week, they were complete dog. The next week, they're doing great. And then they're marching their way up I think there was like 4 weeks in a row. They got a little bit more points each week and they were doing great. And then I think they completely fell on their face at one point, but then they made it back in with the Last Chance qualifiers in the second place. And I think it'd be hilarious if FaZe Clan just ended up winning the whole thing.
Well, yeah, especially with everything going on with FaZe Clan right now. I mean, I feel like
what do you mean?
What do you,
dude?
Like stable Ronaldo's not part of FaZe anymore.
Oh no!
Oh no!
But yeah, they're just one of those teams that like I've just always felt like they really should be better than what their performances are. Like you've got obviously Zane who made a name for himself in year 3 with Pioneers. You've got Synetic and Nags who have had decent finals performances. They've had 13th place together at the Esports World Cup last year. Yeah, last year. So like it's a team that you just wouldn't expect to be qualifying through LCQ or struggling to make lands. And here we are again talking about what version of FaZe are we going to see? Like you said, we talked about that for weeks on end of how they were going to do in Pro League. It's like they'd go out and win game 1 with 20 kills, and then you'd be like, where's FaZe? Oh, they just got 10th today. Like, it's just a team that you just don't know what to expect. It just seems almost like, are they in the mood to kind of like fight well today? Like, I don't really know. Like, it's so hard to describe how this team is. And I even feel like the discourse around this team is like, you look at these 3 players and it's like, how aren't they doing any better? Like what is going on with these guys? So it's going to be one, again, they're also going to be very aggressive. They're going to want to fight. They're going to want to look for KP. Again, if they're at a POI that is close to another team, they could be one of those ones that they're in the first fight of every game possible. But again, kind of like with Cupid Esports in a group stage format, who knows? They can put up a ton of kills and be right in the conversation to still be in the winners bracket portion of the tournament. So we'll have to see what happens with them. Again, if there's really one player to watch with these guys, I think it's always going to be Zane. Again, when he's in the mood, he's playing well. He can, potentially lead any lobby in kills. That's how good of a player we've seen with him in the past. So we'll see how Synetics IGL and we'll kind of see, where they're at once we actually get to Japan here. I really haven't seen much in scrims that has made me kind of feel better about the direction of where they're going to be at when it comes to like a land stage. But again, you never want to discount a team that can easily put up, some pretty gaudy kill numbers. I mean, again, Zane was top 5 in the region in both kills and damage throughout Pro League. So anytime we got somebody like that, you can't discount them. So we'll have to wait and see.
And we know for certain that Zane is very comfortable at LAN.
Yeah.
He does not really get nervous and it does not shy away from a 1v6.
There it is. Also, it would be great for FaZe because I think they put out a tweet saying something along the lines of like, we're just an esports thing now.
Like it's
right?
always I actually learned this through that whole thing of the FaZe content side falling apart, but apparently the esports side is actually for quite a while now been completely separate from those content.
Oh, really? Okay.
Streamer thing. Yeah. So when that all fell apart, they just said like, we're still operating. We're cool. We're good because we don't connect with that.
I don't mean to disrespect the boys here, but like, isn't it kind of crazy how long FaZe has like wrote it out with them? From some pretty bad times.
I kind of respect it actually. If anything, I respect that, like, like an org being willing to stick it out with a team and to, like give them the means to try to keep competing and keep pursuing it. Like, I respect it, right? I hate seeing orgs just constantly drop squads and just look for whoever's currently doing well, because it shows that they don't really care about their players. I mean, it does feel like a little bit different because Apex has so many different teams. It's only squads of 3 that they do want to always bounce around, as opposed to like a tax shooter where you have like 5 guys and like you have set leagues, or it's always like 1 versus 1. It's not 20 in a lobby. But I respect it.
Okay, and that leads us to our final one here, boys. That is Riddle Order from APAC North. What were you going to say, Jumbo?
Well, I guess it's more piling on. I don't have to go into it. I guess we always kind of do the ceiling floor. My thing in Faze is just like, I don't know if they make it through finals. I think maybe losers round 2, and it's just because they've just been so inconsistent this year. And I guess it was just, that's why I'm saying like maybe I'm piling on, because it really goes back to exactly what Don said at the beginning there. These are names that should not have that. Like, their coach is the first LAN winner, like, of the modern LANs, JMW. So it's like they shouldn't. And I guess, I feel like every episode I say this for at least one team. I hope they prove me wrong. But like, their inconsistency has been really weird this year for the names that are on that squad.
What if I do you on solid? There's no way FaZe makes a finals lobby. It's just not happening.
FaZe should be like one of your favorite teams, because you create hand signs like throw up your 9s and all this stuff, and they have one already. Like, can you do it, Wyatt? Do you think you could do it? Can you FaZe up?
Did I do it?
So like finger down. There you go. FaZe up.
It does look like an F. Dude,
it's literally
it looks like
symbol.
an F.
Yeah, it's a FaZe.
Did you just now figure that out?
Like the FaZe symbol.
Dude, I'm so stupid.
FaZe.
I had no idea.
Did you think the whole time we were talking about FaZe,
clue?
I was just sitting here doing this for no reason?
I just thought they were just.
Thought I was just
doing
pointing.
this.
Thought I was just pointing.
I don't, dude.
I'm over here.
You thought it was one of these?
Yeah, just something like, I thought they were just like, I don't know.
Guys, he's a dad. You give
I don't know what I think anymore. I'm gonna be honest. I
catches it.
Yeah, I still.
Enoch's just a cool dad, so he can catch.
He knows that he has the knowledge. I don't. I have no knowledge.
See, I used to. I stole that as a hand signal when I was on a floor team where we cleaned the floor, and so I stole it, and it was floor team.
That's good. That's good stuff. They will not make a finals lobby. Mark my words.
Congratulations, FaZe. You are winning the 2025 Year 5 champs.
Let me just say this again. So all the haters out there, clip this right now. FaZe will not make finals. Not happening. Not on my watch. I actually like those guys. I like FaZe too, but I just don't see it.
And he kills it. And we were doing so good.
Not happening. Won't happen.
All right, so Riddle Order.
Team. Riddle Order. And let me tell you one thing about Riddle Order. I don't know a whole lot about them because it seems like they change all the time. But I'll tell you this right now. You got one fan, and my friend Chris, who bought a Riddle Order jersey, does not pay attention till finals, and he's going to be rooting for Riddle Order. So you got one fan, and he's going to be probably really drunk watching it, and he won't remember anything. But you got Chris. So good on you, Riddle Order. Don, what we got for Riddle Order?
Well, the best part is that Chris will root for Riddle Order even if they don't make finals. So it's
Riddle,
they are locked in. They're locked in with one fan at least. But no, with these guys, it's actually been quite the road for them this year. It's been one that they've made roster changes, they've made some IGL adjustments, and they just really haven't looked that good in a lot of the iterations that they've tried, or just even kind of like roles that they've had within the team. But then they played an LCQ, which I know obviously doesn't include a lot of the best teams in the region, but for whatever reason, it started to actually click a little bit. And even during some scrims when they're playing on terrible ping, they actually have performed decently well, I think, given what the expectation would be for a team that's playing from APAC North on, I think it's US Central servers. So it's going to be one that you've got Titan and Melstera, who have a ton of experience, names that if you watch APAC North or really just Apex in general for a while, that you know who those guys are. And even Momon, to his credit, he's also been at 5 lands already as well. So it's going to be a team that if Tida and Meltstera work well together, because Tida's kind of more of the overall rotational IGL, and Meltstera calls a lot of their fights that they'll take, or it's kind of like the smaller little rotations that they'll do. So if they work really well together, we've seen teams that they've been on in the past perform well at lands, because like Tida's been with like Northeption before previously, and Meltstera has been with like Fnatic and things like that. So they've had past success. It's just, can this trio ultimately put it together? And I think they can. The odds are probably a little bit lower, just because of, if you take the whole body of work this year, it really hasn't been like that impressive. But again, at least recently, it seemed like they've at least figured out a few things that are going to put them in a little bit better position to maybe compete at this LAN. So I'm excited for them, because again, it's another Japanese team that's going to be playing in Japan. It's going to be awesome to see, especially if they end up winning a game or anything like that. The pop off will go absolutely insane. Obviously, Jumbo and Wyatt, you guys know what that pop off was like being there last year. So again, I do hope they succeed. I hope it goes well. And again, Meltstera and Tida have been around for a while, and if they're hopefully able to put it together, again, I think Riddle Order could make some noise and potentially make it to final Sunday or final Saturday, depending on where you're watching it. But I think losers round 2 kind of feels like where they'll settle in when it's all said and done. But again, I think that ceiling floor can kind of expand either way, whether it's potentially even losers round 1 if things go really bad, or sneaking their way into finals. So we'll have to wait and see.
If Riddle Order wins it all,
Wyatt becomes the Riddler.
Smiley face tattoo.
Goes on
smiley
a
face tattoo.
Oh, I was gonna say you become the Riddler and go on a.
I feel like the Riddler is.
I do a whole pod
though.
only speaking in riddles.
Only speaking in riddles.
Or I do a whole stream where I have to figure out riddles, and I have to just sit there and I just go on a page of riddles, or people give me riddles and I have to figure them out.
What is the hardest?
Yeah, I think
riddle?
you have to just like solve 100 riddles
I have to
before
solve
ending.
them too.
No help from stream.
No help. Absolutely no help. There it is.
You have
That's
to
good.
solve the hardest
I'm actually really
riddle.
excited for the Falcon one. I kind of want Falcons to win it just so I can become a Falcon guy.
Wait, hardest riddle. You have to solve this on stream. I speak without a mouth and hear without ears. I have no body, but I come alive in the wind. What am I? That's what you have to solve on stream. Apparently, it's the hardest riddle according to Reader's Digest.
Okay. All right.
What was that again? I gotta hear that one more time.
I speak without a mouth and hear without ears. I have no body, but I come alive with wind. What am I?
I'm probably gonna think about that for the next 2 weeks till I see what. That's gonna bother me for a while.
We'll figure it out.
It's
Figure it out.
dumb
I'm
as fuck.
completely unbothered.
Our 2 brain cells will maybe put it together and maybe figure that out at some point.
Jumbo, slide me the answer.
So I'll send you the answer. I think it's stupid, honestly.
Wait, just say the answer right now.
You were supposed to figure it out.
No, but I mean, like, where you think you're gonna get the hardest one just for free, and
Well,
then
okay,
it'll
but
allow
this one
you.
doesn't
If we
even
give
seem
you
that
this
hard.
one, if we give you this one, and then it'll train your brain to better be able to handle the ones in the future. I just don't think that's, and
That might, maybe.
it's not in line with the integrity.
Okay,
of the
I need
challenge.
to tell you the answer because like this is just dumb.
Yeah, that's dumb.
It's dumb.
That's
The
dumb.
answer is an echo. But the reason it's dumb is because I speak without a mouth and hear without ears. How does an echo
You
hear?
have to speak to have an echo, though, right?
But like
I guess
no,
something
it's
could
the
fall.
echo.
No, it's
How does
valid,
an
it's
echo
valid.
hear? How does an echo hear?
Because it hears it in order to say it back to you.
Holy shit, that's insane.
Oh, fuck.
My god, that's so sick.
No, that's so valid.
actually
No,
so
actually,
sick.
I respect that. I respect that riddle.
I'm so stupid.
That riddle goes hard.
That's a sick one.
That goes hard as fuck.
Valid.
Now you have to answer the second hardest riddle.
The second
or the third.
and the 98 ones after that.
Yeah.
It's right
we go.
here.
99 ones
It's
after
right
that one.
here.
Don't say. We
Do
gotta
we have
save
the
it.
list?
Let's
Save it
Do
for
we have
next
the list?
time.
I have a list of 27.
Save the list. Save the list. Save the list. Save the list, just in case.
Subscribe.
Riddle Order wins.
Subscribe, and we might share the
27
rest of the
ones.
riddles with you guys.
Yeah, there we go.
And then we can have chat come up with the riddles that he has to solve.
Yeah,
There you
Get
go.
them involved.
All right, well, ladies and gents, that is Group C, and remember, in the breakdown series, we don't do the heart to hearts. We just break down all the teams, get ready for it. And then next week will be the final group. It'll be Group D, and we'll do predictions at the end of that one as well. So we'll finally get our predictions out there. Everybody loves the predictions. I've already said there's no way Shopify doesn't make a finals lobby, and there's no way Faze makes a finals lobby. But I'm going to be locking in everything else as well as the rest of the boys go through all of our predictions and get ready. Don't forget, if you guys are here for the first time, subscribe if you enjoyed it. And also, if you're listening on audio, don't forget to follow us on Spotify. That actually helps out a ton. And leave a comment if you enjoyed it as well. Boys and girls, we're going to send it on down into Group D and get ready for champs. We'll catch you guys soon for another episode of the Apex the Podcast. See ya.